So according to Dominic, Netflix watched my interview that I had with him for episode 7 and they loved it. So I'm not sure if they're going to watch this one because it's just me. But Netflix, if you're watching, hire me. This guy's trying to quit his job at Yelp because I hate sales and I don't care if they see this either. Happy Veterans Day. And welcome to my Safe Gayven, everybody. Thank you guys so much for clicking on another video and joining me here on the BlackGayComicGeek channel. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, welcome. Let me introduce myself. My name is Michael. I call myself the BlackGayComicGeek, and I say the things that I love to talk about here on the channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic. So I mostly like to talk about fantasy, sci-fi, horror. And of course, I like to talk about black representation and queer representation. So if that's something that you're interested in, do me a favor. Help me grow. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button so it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Get this video out there. Get my channel out there. So with that said, guys, today it is November 11th, 11/11. It is Veterans Day. So perfect day for this video to come out. I did hold off a little bit, hoping that maybe I could try to see if I can get somebody else on the channel, because I did have Dominic Cologne, the writer of episode 7 for Boots. I went live with him, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, I think, for episode 7. And I tried to see if maybe I could get somebody else on, or wait to see if I can get somebody else on for episode 8. And then plus I just got busy with life. But then I'm like, wait a minute, it's Veterans Day. Today's the perfect day to get this last and final episode out. So we're talking full spoilers. If you haven't seen any of my other reviews for episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, definitely check those out. But we're here for episode 8 of Boots. And this episode is called The Crucible. And the synopsis for episode 8 is, as the end of boot camp is around the corner, the recruits face a final test like no other that has them relying on brotherhood to make it past the finish line. John and Cody receive terrible news. Cameron learns a surprising revelation that could jeopardize everything he worked for. And Sullivan makes a life-altering decision. So again, full spoilers for this episode and just this season in general. But with that said, we're going to jump around a little bit for this review. But let's start talking about this one right here. Barbara Cope, Cameron Cope's mother, played by the fabulous, legendary Vera Farmiga. So I'm going to start with her because she takes the least amount of storyline from this show. So I feel like I could just get through her really quickly before I get into like the meat and potatoes of the episode. But when Ray's mother, who I can't think of her name, June McAfee, when she showed up to like give her like a little, I guess, condolences or mini pep talk or whatever she was showing up for Barbara. And then for Barbara to try to like justify herself based on what happened in the last episode, where she was just like, because I guess now all the Marine moms are upset with her, rightfully so. And she was just like, look, I never lied to them and told them that Cameron died. While yes, that might be officially true, she didn't actually say that her son was dead. You knew they thought Cameron was dead. And A, not only didn't you correct them, but B, you played into it. Like, remember in that last episode, was it 7 or 6? I don't remember. But that episode that she had that get together with all those Marine moms, and she put like the little candle by Cameron's photo to make it seem like she was like memorializing him for his death. When they referenced Cameron being dead, she didn't correct them. She let them continue to think it, all so she could sell like Mary Kay products. So like, she's just not a good person, and she knows that. That's why she's like picking up and moving. She says this is something that she does. She always, because of her lies, they always get the better of her. And so she feels like she has to constantly run away and move. So she's running away again. And with that said, when June says to Barbara, like, it's never too late to be the mother that you actually want to be, I agree and disagree with that, because in some ways I feel like it is too late, because Cameron's basically a grown adult. at this point. And granted, he's only 18, or we find out from this episode, he's actually 17, because again, one of Barbara's lies is affecting Cameron, where she lied on his birth certificate or whatever to get him enrolled into school about a year early. So this whole time he thought he was 18 when in reality he's not. So I'm like, damn, for 18 years or 17 years, like he doesn't even know his actual birthday. That's crazy. But at the end of the day, the point that I wanted to make, like, yeah, she can try to make the decision to be the better mother, which is why I feel like she made that step to go to the military to try to get him out. In her mind, trying to be the better mother. But ultimately, it's not your decision. Like, even if he's 17, he's still basically grown at this point. Like, it's really up to Cameron if he wants to be the one to accept you. And then also just to, if he's going to believe you, because at every point, you lied and lied and lied and lied. What makes this different? And that's why I always hate that narrative, because it exists not just in black families, but it exists a lot in black families when you have like a toxic relative and they say, well, this person might be toxic, but at the end of the day, that's your uncle, that's your mother, that's your father, that's your grandfather. You still got to love them and accept them or whatever and be respectful or whatever, because that's still I'll just say, that's still your grandfather at the end of the day. Like, you're never going to have another one. And it's like, yeah, that might be true, but I don't care. I said Kier. What? This like Severance for Kier. But yeah, like I don't care what level of relative you are. I'm not just gonna accept you treating me like garbage. I don't care if you're my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my cousin. If you are trash, I don't want to deal with you. And sure, it might hurt, especially if you're like a parent, not having you in my life, because like I'll mourn you and then be like, damn, like why couldn't I have like a mother that actually loved me in the way that I would like to be loved, in the way that other mothers love their kids, in the way that it's not about a constant bunch of lies and things like that. Like I will mourn that loss, but like that doesn't necessarily mean just because you're my mother, I should just accept it. And in some ways, I feel like that's where Cameron is, where like, he's like, no, I don't want to leave the military, especially I don't want to go back to you. So I feel like that was his way of kind of expressing that. But with that said, on the flip side of that, I do think the decision that she did of trying to get him out of the Marines was a good decision, especially for, what she was trying to accomplish, because she even said when she had the conversation with June, like she knows that her son is gay, or 1990s, my son is a homosexual. And she even said, because this is the 90s, this is before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And even when Don't Ask, Don't Tell came about, it was still ridiculous. And hell, even today, they're still trying to like reverse Don't Ask, Don't Tell, like with trans people in the military and things like that. Even though, like Jones and Cameron talked about in episode 7, the Marines and just the military in general, it's so gay. But when she was just like, do you know what they do to homosexuals in the Marines? Like, look at what's happening with Sergeant Sullivan right now and Mayor keep wanting to say Mayor. Every time I say his name, I keep wanting to say Mayor, because his name is very similar or reminds me of the mayor of Buffy from season 3, Mayor Wilkins, but he's Major Wilkinson. No matter what, on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel, especially if you're new, just know it always goes back to Buffy for me. But just look at what's happening with those two and being gay. So like, she was giving him an out, because at the end of the day, no matter how much brotherhood you think you've gotten from these recruits, if you were to come out, granted, and a lot of people maybe suspect that he might be gay, but there's a difference between suspecting and actually knowing. They don't know if he's gay. How many of these brothers that you got would actually be there for you if you came out the closet? We don't know. We already see that, like, we know that Cameron probably couldn't come out. Not Cameron, Sullivan, Sergeant Sullivan. Liam, I was like, why can't I think of his name, his actual name? Not the actor, but the character. But I was like, but we already kind of suspect that his best friend, the man that let him be his best man at his wedding, he's so homophobic that I highly doubt will be able to come out to him. I mean, look at how his best friend, whose name I can't think of, outed Major Wilkinson. Like, so Ray definitely couldn't come out to him. I mean, not Ray. Ray is Liam O, Cameron's best friend. But Sullivan, there we go. Sullivan definitely couldn't come out to him. Even though maybe Cameron might have a different experience, because I feel like a couple of the recruits either are queer whether it's bisexual, in the closet, or they'll experiment a little bit like freaking Slovacek. I definitely feel like Slovacek would experiment with another guy. Maybe in the sense of like even during this episode where they talked about the Crucible, where not John, but the other Bowman, Cody, when Cody and Slovacek, when they were talking, they were asking like, what are you gonna do when you get out of boot camp? And Slovacek was just like, I'm gonna get my dick wet. And I'm just like, with a guy or a girl, part of me feels like with his character, it might not even matter. He might not do it back to the guy, but I don't think he would have a problem getting it done. Same with Hicks. Granted, August O'Brien, who plays Hicks, is openly gay, but Hicks's character is supposedly straight, but straight with a question mark. I don't think he's 100% straight. And I already talked about Nash, especially in episode 7 with Dominic Cologne, and saying that like, no, I think Nash is bi, and I actually ship Nash and Cameron together. Now, granted, might be a problem because I don't know how old Nash is, and now we know that Cameron is a minor. Granted, both the actors are like the same age, but the characters, I don't know how much older, or obviously he would have to be 18, but maybe they're all like 18, 19. Because I don't know if you can be super old joining. I don't know how it works. Because I'm trying to think are any of these characters like 25? I know the actors are in their like mid to early late 20s, but I don't know if the characters are maybe old. Any of them are older than maybe like, I would say maybe the oldest might be 20, maybe like maybe like Slovacek, he might be 20. But like I said, getting back to my main point, I say all that to say like even all this development that Cameron has had throughout this first season, it's all still been built on a lie. He can't be his full open self. Yeah, he's becoming somewhat more confident, but it's faux confidence. It's not real confidence because he's still not confident in his sexuality, confident in the fact to be like openly and blazingly proud to let everybody know like, yeah, I am gay. Which even Jones, to a certain extent, as confident as he is, he can't tell anybody that he's openly gay. And he wants to be kicked out of the military. So I'm just like, here's your chance. But with that said, speaking of potentially getting kicked out of the military, like I said in my synopsis, this is their final test, the Crucible. 56 miles of everything that they learned throughout this entire season. Shooting, war drills, obstacle courses, all of it. And if you don't make it, you're kicked out. But if you do make it, you are now officially a Marine. You are now officially out of boot camp, and you finally graduate. And not only do you graduate, but one among them will become the coveted spot that Ray has been shooting for, Honor Man. And so that's what this entire episode is. We see them drilling. We see them, going through and struggling and straining and going through all these obstacle courses. But also with that, we get to see the return of recruit Jones and the beating that Cameron inflicted on him in episode 7. And you see like his eye is red. He has a black eye or red eye. It's bruised. He looks terrible. You see the look on Cameron's face when he sees how recruit Jones looks and how that was him that did that. And because it was Cameron that did that to him, Sullivan puts Cameron in charge of Jones. He's like, this is your responsibility. You watch him. You're in charge of him. Speaking of taking charge, we get to see John taking charge and finally asserting himself with regards to his brother, Cody, because we find out the tragic news that Cody and John's father passed away. And so obviously because of a death in the family, they're allowing them to take bereavement leave. But if they leave, they will have to start all over again with a brand new platoon. And Cody's willing to go because he's like, this is our dad. Like, we have to go to the funeral. But John is like, going back to what I was saying before about a toxic parent, because of everything that John went through, he's like, no, I'm good. I don't need to go. I'm where I'm meant to be, which is he wants to stay and finish the Crucible. Because more than likely, in his mind, he mourned and went through the death of his father and mourned that relationship a long time ago. So now that his father isn't actually physically there, he probably doesn't feel like he needs to go to that funeral because he already lost his father in his mind years ago. But Cody can't seem to understand that. He can't comprehend that. Get why John wouldn't be interested in going to the funeral, because he's like, he has that mentality where it's like, that's our father, we need to go. But also, he had a much better relationship with their father than John did. And so John is like, look, if you need to go, go. Just know I'm not going with you. Your father is not the same as my father. Like, yeah, they're literally the same person, but the relationship it's not the same. So go if you feel like you have to. But Cody can't bring himself to go there by himself, because at the end of the day, no matter what, John was always there to be his footstool. Even when we saw that flashback in like episode 3 or 2 or whatever, where John has always relied, or not John, but Cody has always relied on his brother, but then was spit on him the second the father came into the picture. Now, when they were younger, I get it, they're kids. He doesn't really know any better. But as more time started to pass and he got older and older, like even when you think about episode 1, he kept saying like, oh, you're going to flunk out. Why did you follow me here? I don't want a brother. I don't need a brother. I don't want you here. But then the moment John injured himself and potentially looked like he might have been dead, that's when he's like, oh my God, John, wake up, whatever. It's like, and I'm glad that John kind of called him out. He was like, you know, the thing that I realized by being here, I'm not the one that needs a brother. You do. Because John more or less had to raise himself all his life. And while, yes, he still loves his brother, but that doesn't mean he's going to let his brother treat him any type of way. Same thing. Toxic family members. But then on the flip side of that, I find it funny that he feels that way. But then like when you look at like the way they treat you in the Marine Corps, it's damn right abusive as well. So like, but I guess with these people, they don't know. And then it's only for a little bit. Like once you graduate, then they actually treat you like a human being, I guess, maybe. But even with that said, talking about treating you like a human being, I guess, maybe. And again, another person getting called out, like Jones kind of called out Cameron in a sense. Well, he was like, yeah, Sullivan is trying to mold you into a version of him. And you are looking up to Sullivan, even though he's lying. And you're lying, because Cameron tried to call Jones out for lying. And he's like, look, yeah, I lied. He admitted that Sergeant Sullivan would give him a medical discharge if he messed with Cameron and fractured their growing friendship. And Jones called him out. He's like, yeah, I did lie, but let's not pretend that you're not lying either, because the moment, again, like I said before, the moment you come out as gay in this place, you would get kicked out in a heartbeat. But I love that he said, but the difference between you and me is you would think they're right to kick you out. I think it's stupid that I would get kicked out of the military just because of who I'm attracted to. But Cameron didn't want to hear that, because the moment Jones said that, he was like, all right, let's get up. Let's end this conversation. Let's go. But it's the truth. I mean, even as progressive as 2025 is in the world, well, in America and other places in the world, kinda, gay bashings still happen, even in places as liberal as New York. Hell, we got the Supreme Court trying to get rid of every civil rights and voting rights legislation that they can, slowly but surely. And the interaction between Jones and Cameron in this moment kind of shows a perfect example of a facade of strength and actual strength. Jones has actual strength. Sullivan has a facade of strength, because there was a moment where Cameron said, like, I'm tired of being weak. Sullivan isn't weak, which is why he wants to be like Sullivan. And it's like, yeah, Sullivan, if you got into a fight with Sullivan, he could kick your ass. He will kick your ass. We've already seen that moment in like the bar fight, or like when he had to take out the guy that was like freaking out in the gas mask, him like throwing the recruits and things like that. Like, and then also Sullivan has been in combat. He has a Purple Heart, a Silver Heart. He's been in war, things like that. He obviously knows what he's doing. So he has an outward level of strength, but he doesn't have real strength. He doesn't have what it takes to, like, because he will actively lie, you know, about his sexuality for his so-called best friend. Even the reason that he's at boot camp in the first place is because he lied about the love of his life, Major Wilkinson, saying that, oh, I'm leaving because he threw a pass at me or whatever. I'm saying that wrong, because that sounds like I'm throwing a football at you, but he hit on me. And so I can't be around that gay shit. But the reality is you felt like you were getting too close for the love of your life, because just before y'all were having conversations about just making it through the military and leaving and starting a life together. But that's not real strength. That's weakness. Weakness on your part. And now because of that, his life is miserable. That's why he keeps lashing out the way he does. Going back to even episode 2 is when he showed up, because he's not happy. He should be with the love of his life, Major Wilkinson. They should be, granted, they can't get married in 1990s, but they could be living somewhere and, you know, enjoying their life. But instead, not only did he get this man discharged, but now they're not talking, they're not together, anything like that. So that's the facade of strength. And with that said, speaking of that facade of strength, like, he knew what he was doing in attacking that man at the bar the other day. He knew it was going to cause him to be dishonorably discharged, because Captain Fajardo, and I love the character of Captain Fajardo, but she even kind of says, so you rather be dishonorably discharged than, you know, to fight these charges or whatever. And I love that she's like, look, I will have your back. I will fight for you. But Sullivan kind of knows that the writing's on the wall with that. Like, there's nothing, he even kind of said, there's nothing that you can do. So, like, even if he didn't get into the bar fight, he would still be dishonorably discharged for being gay. And the difference is there will be this is the sad reality of it. There will be a bigger stigma on him for being gay in the military than there would be for him getting into a bar fight and almost killing somebody. And that's really the sad reality of the world. But Captain Fajardo, she said she would remove him from the training session. Like, she would kick him out right then and there, but he has to finish the Crucible because she doesn't have anybody else to replace him at the moment. And she needs all hands on deck, and, you know, for all the recruits to make sure they're all safe. So she's like, look, you're going to finish this Crucible, but after that, you're done. Career's over. Like, basically pack your shit and go. To the left, everything you own in the box to the left. And again, and again, and again, I would continue to say this. Kudos and shout out to Max Parker for his acting as Sergeant Liam Robert Sullivan. Like, he's just good. Like, the moment he just started crying and, like, you saw him kind of mourning his military career, his service, and everything that he's gone through, like, he's just great. He's just great in this show. And so with that, for the most part, like, we get to see them completing the Crucible. They all finish and they all graduate as Marines, and they all come together as brothers to help Santos. Oh, Santos, because Santos, his whole thing is he had a busted knee. And his knee started acting up again on him during the Crucible. So they all helped him so that he could finish the Crucible. And now Santos finally gets to be a Marine. And of course, we see that Recruit Jones, he ends up sleepwalking. He goes missing. They go find him. And because Ray disobeys direct orders to help out his best friend, help out Cameron, he's now disqualified from being Honor Man. And so we see that the Honor Man ends up going to Nash. But they all finish. They all finally become Marines. And then we see that right before the show ends, we see there's a military conflict. We see George W. Bush. It was the first war with Saudi Arabia and Saddam Hussein, things like that. So we're like, uh-oh, this season. And they're now officially Marines now. So they can be sent off to war. So season 2, is it gonna take place in Saudi Arabia? Who knows? I don't know. And that was kind of my question that I talked to with Dominic Colon. Obviously, he couldn't say really much because they haven't planned season 2, or if they did plan season 2, he's not gonna tell me. But like, I'm like, where would season 2 even go from here? Because obviously we would want to see all these characters back again. If they're off to get off at war, like, that means we're not going to see McKinnon anymore because he's a drill instructor. We're not going to see Howard. He's a drill instructor. Fajardo, she works at the boot camp. Like, are they going to be off in Saudi? And granted, it's writing. And Dominic kind of said this too. He's like, look, it's writing. It's a story where we could do whatever. Like, there are ways we can have all these characters show up. But I'm just curious of what would season 2 be, because I'm just like, damn. Are they going off to war? Because I don't know if the book that this show is based off of, they kind of addressed that. But then even then, which is something that Dominic addressed, that like the book is more like a blueprint of where they wanted to go with the story, and it's loosely based off of the author, his name is Greg Cope White. It's loosely based off of his life, but at the end of the day, this show is its own thing. So they could basically do whatever they want with this series. But either way, I definitely want for Boots to come back for a season 2. And I want to see every single one of these characters back. Obviously, Miles is the number one on the call sheet. He's the lead. He's going to, of course, come back. So I want to see Miles. I want to see Ray. I want to see Santos. I want to see Nash, Slovacek. I want to see Hicks, McKinnon, Fajardo. Of course, I want to see Sullivan, both the Codys. I want to see Jones come back. But then also, if they go to war, are we gonna see Ray's girlfriend? You know, his girlfriend that showed up at the end of this episode. We still don't know her name. And Dominic mentioned that the writers and the people behind the scenes know her name. And there's a reason for whatever reason they haven't revealed her name yet. But like, let's see that show up more. Let's see that relationship develop. Cause I like her. So I want to see more of her. Now that they're not in boot camp anymore, they don't have a reason to necessarily separate them. But then at the same time, like if they go off to war, because I don't know if women, because it's the 1990s, are women allowed to like, I don't know. But yeah, but with that said, great first season, great set of episodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There wasn't a single episode that I disliked. I think I mentioned before that my favorite episode is episode 6, but I've enjoyed every single episode of this show. I hope we get to see more. I can't wait to see more. Netflix, green light a season 2. Also, again, hire me. So with that said, what did you guys think of this final episode of Boots? Are you hoping that this show gets to season 2? What are you looking or hoping that they address or do in season 2? And everything like that. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, interact on this video for the All Gay Rhythm. If this is one of your first time checking out one of my videos, hopefully check out the other videos on my channel. Tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me to continue to grow. Again, like, share, comment, interact for the All Gay Rhythm. Hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.